Well, hello y'all, and how wonderful it is to see you here today. My name is Mavis O'Reilly, and that personage behind me is my husband, Jack D. Stewart. Now, some of you might be wondering how he can be my husband when he has a different name, a different second name. And the answer is because I was once intent on being an actress. And I had gone some of the way towards establishing myself. They all knew, all 347 residents of Black Falls, Kansas, they knew I was going to be an actress. In fact, they were so intent on me being discovered that they were even more proud than I was. And the day that I left, that day, they hung a banner across the street with my name on it saying, Mavis O'Reilly. And they hung a button and they brought me flowers, and the pastor, Reverend John G. Gumption, he gave a speech, a homely speech about how I was going off into the big wide world and take my chastity and all that kind of thing. It got so I almost believed it myself. And then, in the middle of the night sometimes, in my dreams I still remember that feeling, and I cuddle up to my husband. I love him more than any living thing. Now, I am not young. Isn't that a stupid thing to say? What I really mean to say is, I have lost my looks. When I was younger, I had this long dark hair that curled under my chin, and I had these eyes that were slight and bright, and I had the most perfect skin. The Reverend John G. Gumption said the application of makeup would have ruined my skin, and so did my husband, don't you, Jack? So, I did what any reasonable person should have done. I went off to Hollywood. Little Mavis, small Mavis, little insignificant Mavis, little nothing Mavis, Mavis with the hook in her mouth. Jack loves that hook, and so did I. I thought it made me unique, but the casting directors, they didn't like it. They didn't know shit. And the other people, they were taller as well. But I would go off on audition after audition. I would stand there and I'd sing my song, and I could say that I'd do it in different accents. I knew all the casting directors by name, and they knew me, and they'd say, well done, thank you. And I'd go off and with a little flicker of hope in my heart. And then as the days went by, that flicker faded until by the time they called, that flame had gone out. But I kept at it. I did. And then it got difficult. But I thought, no, I am not stupid. I shall persevere. And I did. I did what all the actors and actresses do. I went and worked in a place where I'd serve food and drink to folks all like you. And you know what? Sometimes we got on, you and I. We had our fun. But other times, there were times when if it hadn't been for the security camera, that burger would have ended up on your lap. And that beer would have ended up over your head. And I would have hightailed it out of there. But I stuck at it because I knew that job would allow me to keep getting in line. But after a while, it started making me feel sick. And that is not how it's supposed to be, is it? I'd had some kind of success. I played in bars and cafes, and when I was on that stage, even if I was shouting or arguing or singing, I felt the most wonderful kind of peace. My mama, she wrote me regular, and I wrote back regular. I told her all about the casting directors and the auditions that I'd had and how well I was doing. But eventually it got to a stage where I was just going to the auditions and speaking to the casting directors just because I had to have something to say. And it wore me down. One day, I did not get up and go in line. I did not put on my powder. I did not line my eyes. I did not put on my lipstick. I went to the park and I sat there and let the wind blow through my hair, and I don't know what I felt. And as I looked across the water, I saw this man, and he was tall, and he wore these trousers and a white shirt and a handsome face and this beautiful Stetson on his head. And he nodded at me. You know what I did? I nodded right back. And then I felt a little unholy because who knows who he was. But he came across that bridge and stood on my side. And he came up to me and he said 4 words. He said, "Your mama loves you." "My mama," I said. "You do not know my mama." And he said, "No, I do not know your mama, but I know your mama loves you. And when you have a mama's love, then that's all you need." You know what I did next? I asked him to sit right down next to me. I thought he was a philosopher, or since this was Hollywood, I thought he was a writer. But he turned out to be a traveling man. A little of his philosophy rubbed off on me that day. I think I fell in love with him right at that moment. And then when my mama died, he was right there with me. And he gently cut the ties to her and laid them on her chest. He invited me out to dinner the next day, and I went with him, and he took me away. Now, our little Sean, he's out in the world. When he was born, Jack helped bind those ties to us and let him go out into the world to be what he wanted to be. Now, Sean, he lives in California in one of those caravans, I think you call them, and he has a best friend called Dewey. He is living the kind of life that he wants to live. Now, I have not lived the kind of life that I thought I would, and neither might you. But if you find a creation that frees you and gives you strength and lets you give more than you have been given, then you will live the kind of life you were meant to. See, I call my creation Jack. Now, what do you call yours?